Thriving, not just surviving. It is a wonderful Tuesday, and I appreciate all of you for tuning in. We are going to continue talking about Bad Bunny today and how many people on the right, MAGA, are completely losing their shit over a performance done in Spanish. I don't even know where to go from here, but I appreciate every single one of you. We have a lot to get to today. If you're watching this back as a video, guess what? Secretly, you're my favorite. Because not many people watch the live streams after they're posted. Nonetheless, let's get right into it here. Yes, we are going live right at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have been trying to work on time management as a part of my seasonal resolutions. I don't really do New Year's resolutions, but I've been getting better at it, so I'm glad to be here. I appreciate every single one of you. Do you all like my new penguin mug, by the way? I think it's cute. I know it's backwards, but it says peace, love, penguins. I love penguins. I think they're really cute, so I was like, I really want this one. Whew. Sometimes I forget to breathe when I'm doing my live stream, so yeah. Let's not have that happen. But anyway, so we're gonna get to a lot of stuff today. We're gonna be covering a lot of the continued meltdown around Bad Bunny, but also adding in some other important context. And we're also going to quell, disprove, and break down the idiosyncratic arguments from the right about saying how this was the worst Super Bowl performance of all time. I just don't get it either. But once it becomes 2 minutes, 30 seconds, we'll officially get into it. Whew, I hope you all are doing well. I have morning coffee, so what's your beverage of choice? Put it in the chat below. I do not see anyone having commented yet. Ginger Monster, okay, there we go. Now we have some fam in here. All right, so are we ready to begin? All right, here we go. Good morning, beautiful people. Hope you all are thriving, not just surviving. So the continued meltdown continues, basically. I don't know why I phrased it like that. I can't English. But conservatives are still losing their brains over this halftime show like it's the biggest, chaotic, most important problem in American history. And let's break everything down here. This is an opinion piece, but it also lays out a little bit of the reactions. And so you can disagree with this opinion, but obviously it was just a halftime show. The meltdown reveals how dumb we've become. This is Colby Hall over at Mediaite. I don't always like to report these opinion pieces. I think this is actually the first one I've ever done, but it also shows and gives a really good breakdown of kind of where we are. So the most revealing thing about the Super Bowl halftime show was not Bad Bunny, Kid Rock, or even Donald Trump deciding that this was a useful place to weigh in. It was how quickly millions of people volunteered to be furious on cue, as if anger were a civic duty rather than an emotional habit that has gotten wildly out of hand. I think that is a really good way to put this. Like the manufactured outrage, it was like it was predetermined, astrologically set in the stars for these people on the right. They knew that they were gonna make this into a problem for, I guess, clicks, likes, views, shares. Even conversations these days, you can argue, have been monetized because of production value, because of the content creator economy. So honestly, that's a really good way to summarize this. This was a halftime show, 13 minutes of loud, glossy distraction designed to give people time to refresh drinks and argue about guacamole. It was never meant to unify the nation, heal divides, or signal the moral direction of the republic. It's purely just entertainment, okay? Treating it as any of those things requires a level of seriousness that borders on parody. It's like getting mad at someone else's screensaver. That's a good way to put that too. Conservatives have decided the show was an insult, a provocation, proof that America is slipping away. Ooh, It was framed as cultural displacement dressed up as criticism of taste, with Spanish lyrics treated less as a stylistic choice, more like a grievance. The outrage was immediate, familiar, and deeply incurious, the kind that confuses personal discomfort with national emergency. This would be easier to take seriously if it weren't aimed at a league that spent decades booking halftime acts based on audience math rather than cultural loyalty. And all of this to say, I'm just looking at all of this here. This is so eloquently put. Deciding this show was an insult, a provocation, and proof that America is slipping away is exactly how conservatives are viewing it. They view this as an erosion of the white America that they are familiar with. So, wow, we really have some low viewership this morning. That's interesting. Make sure to send some likes. I appreciate every single one of you. I don't know why our viewership is so low. Anyone have any ideas? But continuing onward here, it was framed as a cultural displacement dressed up as criticism of taste. That's another thing. They were like, oh, well, this is just, they were trying to criticize that it was being spoken in Spanish, that it was in Spanish. They're trying to make it like a merits-based taste thing, rather than what it really is just racism, fear of people based on their cultural heritage. They're trying to claim it as a more intellectually stable argument about it being Spanish and not unifying, when really they're just trying to cover their ass because it's racist. Period, end of story. And this is the kind that confuses personal discomfort with national emergency. That's another thing. They're framing this like it is the biggest erosion to their own rights. Like somehow Bad Bunny singing in Spanish threatens anyone who speaks English and their identity. Just because someone else speaks another language doesn't mean that it immediately makes your contributions, your English, then inferior. But that's how this is interpreted amongst people who are these MAGA conservatives. This would be easier to take seriously if it weren't aimed at a league that has spent decades booking halftime acts based on audience math rather than cultural loyalty. Continuing on, the Turning Point USA counter-programmed. Trump posted, "Everyone behaved exactly as expected," which is the real indictment. None of this was spontaneous. It was muscle memory. It's also worth remembering that the NFL has helped create this monster. Now, this is the part of the piece where I'm like, okay, I get it, but like, dude. Halftime used to be exactly what the word implies. Filler. Marching bands, cheerleaders, and relentlessly upbeat outfits, like Up With People, who showed up 5 times between the 1970s and early 1990s to perform earnest, vaguely unsettling pageants no one mistook for art or politics. So that's another thing. The NFL kind of made this into the big spectacle that it is. Now, Colby is saying that somehow that is to be blamed about this, but I think it's an asset. But continuing on, what's striking is how badly people seem to want the halftime show to matter. Not to entertain, not to amuse, but to validate their worldview. And I also think that's spot on. People view the Super Bowl halftime show like it's some referendum on American culture. Like it is somehow the defining act of the year that shares where American culture is going. And it's just a halftime performance. I mean, those kinds of acts are important. It is cultural in a sense. It is sharing, but it's also a world event. Like the Super Bowl has gone so global that it's less about America necessarily and more just about entertainment for the world at large. Disliking a pop performance is normal. Deciding it confirms your theory on national decline or moral progress is something else entirely. That leap is where the plot gets lost. And I think that's really, really accurate to say. Why in the world, okay, pause. I don't know if you all see this. Why in the world are we stuck at 8 viewers? Do you all see that? Why are we stuck at 8 viewers? We've been stuck at 8 viewers for the past 8 minutes. I don't get that. Are you all seeing that too? I don't know if the algorithm is somehow just really not liking me. I would not be surprised. But, oh, you have 121? Okay, it says 8 up here for me. I could take a screenshot and show you. That is just wild. It's gotta be a glitch. Okay, I'm not crazy. Perfect, good to know. I mean, I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy. Perfect, okay, wow, all right. I appreciate every single one of you. All right, good to know. Then I won't worry about it. So, the conservative backlash wasn't really about music. It was about discomfort with change and the refusal to admit that not everything is designed to feel familiar anymore. That's also another aspect of this. A lot of MAGA was immediately viewing this as an insult to American culture. Why are you viewing it as an insult to American culture? Is my question. They're viewing it as an insult because it was in Spanish. They view it as if you speak Spanish, that's an insult to American culture. Sorry, but there were a lot of people, indigenous people, that were on this land that spoke Spanish way before English colonizers came over, took the land, and made it into a country, a formalized Western country. So the idea that they're trying to claim that it's un-American to speak Spanish it's just like, are you serious? Like, you do realize when you say American, it can also include the continents of North and South America. Now, when you say America, we talked about this yesterday, it usually just refers to the United States. It might be more accurate to say United Statesian, though that doesn't roll off the tongue. But there's this idea amongst conservatives that somehow this Super Bowl performance being in Spanish is like a biggest referendum slap in the face to white American culture. When in reality, why are you viewing this as it's our culture versus yours? America is a melting pot. We are a group of a whole bunch of cultures from around the world. The idea that somehow it's only supposed to be one culture, that's why people call you a white supremacist. That's why people will call you out for being racist and bigoted. It's because you view as every other culture contributing. If they're not white enough, you don't like them. And so it goes along with this. The Super Bowl is meant to be entertainment. It's really not even a big deal. Yet, a lot of these right-wing shows, these right-wing commentators are viewing this as the biggest indicator of national decline, like, ever. Calm down. As that famous Kids About Karen said, calm down, calm down. The progressive overpraise wasn't really about art either. Now, Colby goes into saying that there was a lot of people on the left that were apparently praising Bad Bunny and talking and worshiping him as a deity. I haven't seen that. I'm not going to discount that may have occurred. Nonetheless, I don't think that that's a huge thing happening. Maybe I'm wrong. I really don't care. I am more concerned about the people who are being racist and bigoted rather than the people who are expressing their favorability towards Bad Bunny. I don't think that they're making him into some sort of deity. If they are, I would be like, okay, dude, that's a little far. But that all being said, let's continue on here. I appreciate every single one of you. If you're enjoying the live stream, please make sure to like the stream. That's the part worth lingering on. We live now in an ecosystem where boredom is intolerable and neutrality is suspicious. Everything has to be a fight. Every cultural artifact must be processed through a partisan lens or it feels wasted. A halftime show cannot just exist. It has to offend, affirm, threaten, or redeem. And I think that's a really good way to put that. The problem with last night, and this is him speaking, I guess, yesterday, the problem with last night wasn't the halftime show. It was a hunger to turn a forgettable performance into a referendum. And I would say I mostly agree with his take, but nevertheless, let's move on here. This is where it gets into even more craziness here. All right, I appreciate every single one of you. Please make sure to send some likes. Let's get into this. Pure smut. GOP Congressman Andy Ogles claims that Bad Bunny's halftime show had gay corn instead with instead of a C, it's a P, but I'm not going to say that out loud. It did not. He officially called for an investigation. No, this is not an SNL parody. This is not somehow some skit designed to be gaslighting or a prank or a commentary. No, this is real. Reality is stranger than fiction. So for those of you who do not know, Andy Ogles, he is a Republican from Tennessee, and he is one of the Congress people that features his kids in Christmas cards holding guns. Yes, that kind of guy. And Representative Andy Ogles did not enjoy Bad Bunny's Super Bowl halftime show, denouncing it as pure smut, calling for a congressional inquiry and accusing it of depicting gay pornography. First of all, I watched the halftime show, and I will just say, if it had gay pornography, I would have been like, ooh. But I would have also been like, ooh, you can't include that on the public airwaves. Guess what? It did not. It did not. Otherwise, it wouldn't have gone on the Super Bowl. Like, it would not have appeared at the Super Bowl if it had that. It would not be posted on the YouTube for the NFL still if it had that. To be clear, the halftime show did not include any pornography, straight, gay, or otherwise. This is not a matter of reasonable factual dispute. The performance was watched live on television by millions of people and is posted in its entirety to NFL's YouTube channel. There was no corn. Period. End of story. Yet, the nearly 14-minute performance headlined by the superstar Puerto Rican rapper and singer, real name, Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio, or Bad Bunny, was reportedly the most watched of all time, based on early viewership estimates. The show also featured people like Lady Gaga and Ricky Martin, tributes to real Latino businesses from all around the country, a plethora of cultural references, a parade of flags from every country in North and South America, and even an actual wedding. Also, for Andy Ogles to claim that, oh, there's gay pornography. No, if you want to make something about sexuality, it was actually that there was a heterosexual wedding a part of the show, which I thought was cute. And I'm saying that as a gay person, I'm like, oh, that's so adorable. Plus, the guy in that marriage, I was like, the guy in the marriage, I was like, ooh, what a handsome chap. But that all being said, they're like, oh my God, there was gay corn. There was gay corn. Like, what? Let me get into it. There were, of course, critics, perhaps the most notable, President Donald Trump, who dissed the halftime show as absolutely terrible for being mainly in Spanish and for the disgusting dance moves. Greg Gutfeld joined his colleagues on Fox News' The Five, shredding it. Ogles' take was sharply on the negative side of the reactions. Monday morning, he posted a tweet calling the halftime show a disgrace and accusing it of having mocked American families. You know, I should ask my mom if she feels mocked. Like, you've mocked it. This was the post. Last night's halftime show was a disgrace, and it mocked American families. Okay, pause. There are many American families that also speak Spanish. Also, am I supposed to feel like my family has now been mocked because there was a halftime show that was done in Spanish? Here's the thing, if your identity of your familial heritage, if your identity as an English speaker is threatened or at risk of being erased because of one halftime performance by a Puerto Rican rapper, American, may I also point out, who mainly sings his music in Spanish. If your identity is threatened by someone speaking Spanish, then for you to then claim that anyone else is somehow a snowflake or fragile, I need you to have a wake-up call and get some self-awareness, because buddy, like, imagine being so threatened within your heritage or your identity because someone else speaks a different language. Be like, you can't speak English, or you can't speak Spanish around me. It threatens my cultural identity as an American. blasphemous. It really is. Plus, Spanish speaking was here before. Like, there were people in America, in the United States, that were speaking Spanish before the British colonizers came over and introduced English. So, anyway. But he goes on, depicting gay pornography on primetime has no place in our culture. There was none. I don't know what this guy is smoking. The Bad Bunny performance is conclusive proof that Puerto Rico should never be a state. Okay, well, all right. Continuing on, Ogle's tweet drew a predictable onslaught of scorn and mockery, with many pointing to his unfounded claim about gay corn, as well as some of the controversial lyrics and past comments of Kid Rock, who headlined the competing halftime show organized by Turning Point USA. Oh, we'll get into that too. But let's continue on here. This person responded, what the actual hell are you talking about? A heterosexual couple got married during the show. And it's like gay pornography. There was a whole heterosexual wedding. What are you even talking about? And I thought that was really, really cute. I even said aw when that was happening. But again, this was also another post he had. The Apple Music Super Bowl LX halftime show was pure smut, brazenly aired on national television for every American to witness. Children were forced to endure explicit displays of gay sexual acts, women gyrating provocatively, and Bad Bunny shamelessly grabbing his crotch while dry humping the air. I watched it. I'm gay. I will say, if I had noticed those things, that would make me want to go back and watch it even more. But that being said, I don't think it was so sexually provocative to the point to meet what he's claiming. Also, it's still posted on YouTube, meaning that it's not flagged in that sense. So, here's the thing. My mother would always say, and it goes with eyes as well, but she would say it with hearing. She goes, well, just because you didn't hear it didn't mean that I didn't say it. And she would go on to say that I had selective hearing. Just going on to say, just because you claimed that you saw it didn't mean it actually happened. So there are these conservatives that are like, they see things and they're just imagining it because there was no gay corn in that Super Bowl performance. And then he said, as if that weren't outrageous enough, the performance lyrics openly glorified sodomy and countless other unspeakable depravities. These flagrant, indecent acts are illegal to be displayed on public airways. And then he full on goes Karen and is like, that's why I'm requesting that the Energy and Commerce Committee launch a formal congressional inquiry into the National Football League and NBC immediately for their prior knowledge, deliberate approval, and facilitation of this indecent broadcast. American culture will not be mocked or corrupted without consequence. Going full Karen. He's like, I want to speak to the manager right now. Like, oh my god. Seriously, like, what? What the fuck? He's like, I must speak to the manager. And there were people's comments that were like, girls twerking equals smut. Although billionaires trafficking 12-year-olds for schmecks look the other way. Yeah, facts. Also, this person put it really, really well. Congressman, the way you described every crotch grab, dry hump, and explicit gay sexual act in vivid detail, bro, you didn't just watch the halftime show. You took notes. You took notes. For the children, right? That is so true, though. The way that he was like going on in this complaint, being like, "Oh yeah, all of these things happening." It's like I didn't even notice those things if they occurred. And as someone who consumes actual gay corn, because, you know, I'm LGBTQ, huh? Like, I want to go watch it again now. But let's turn the page here onto something a little bit more serious. So, obviously, a lot of these conservatives are so outraged over Bad Bunny's apparent sexual acts in gay corn that is in the Super Bowl performance, okay? Meanwhile, their headliner was Kid Rock, who I don't really know too much about him, but he's some MAGA guy who loves Trump and he's been a musician for a while. While all of this has happened, there have been people who have voiced, oh, well, there are songs that Kid Rock has done that have not been very PC, also alluding to and explicitly saying, in some cases, things that are very not appropriate. For instance, there is this one song from Kid Rock and Joe C, and I forget what it's titled. I'll get to it later in the live. But the lyrics go like this: on my cell phone, I'm paid. G, can't call me, just page me. And this is literally what he says. Young ladies, I like 'em. You can read UNDERAGE. See? Some say that's statutory, but I say it's mandatory. So, here's the thing. If you are going to be outraged, I want you to at least have a moral center, an ideology, based on actual facts and information. The fact that there are many MAGA people who are not upset about Kid Rock, his past music like this, and they're mad at Bad Bunny for singing in Spanish, which also a lot of people speak Spanish, and Spanish was one of the languages here before British colonizers came over. I'd be like, are you dumb? Like, are you that dumb? Like, here's the thing. I think it's way more important to be outraged about this. The fact that someone like Kid Rock performs at Turning Point USA. Because he has songs like this crap. Meanwhile, MAGA claims that they are somehow mavericks for fighting for victims of these kind of stuff. Your leader is Donald Trump. Are you thick in the head? Like, God, it's just, these people, like, are you that dumb to go along with it? Are you that dumb? And it didn't stop there. Disturbing video of Kid Rock has resurfaced as he wonders why American men were waiting for then 14-year-old Olsen twins to turn 18. He said, quote, if there's grass on the field, play ball. That's who MAGA supports. And a lot of people were clocking this, saying this exact same thing. And I really can't understand it. Again, this is the lyrics. Let the record reflect that Andy Ogles appears to have no issue with these pedophilic lyrics by Kid Rock. I wonder why. It's starting to become clear why he didn't initially join the 4 Republicans who signed the petition to force a vote to release the Epstein files. Again, those lyrics, young ladies, I like 'em, UNDERAGE. See? Some say that's statutory, but I say it's mandatory. And with all of this being said, there are all these MAGA people who are so upset over Bad Bunny, and they're getting so angry about his apparent sexual acts in the halftime show, which never happened. Meanwhile, they completely dismiss everything Kid Rock has done. I I just don't get it. It's a lot like this. They're so angry at things that don't happen. You go and watch that halftime show and you don't see gay corn. You don't. But yet they're so outraged by it. You can't cure that kind of stuff. But that all being said, a lot of people were clocking this. So I just want to point out one last thing here, and then we're going to move on to the next part. Yes, a 2001 Kid Rock song titled Cool Daddy Cool is reported to contain lyrics about sexual encounters with underage girls. The song, which features Kid Rock and his late hype man Joe C, has been cited for these lyrics. For context, the song resurfaced in early February of 2026 this year as a point of controversy ahead of Kid Rock's headlining performance at TPUSA. The song was released in 2001, and despite the lyrics, was featured on the soundtrack for an animated child's movie called Osmosis Jones. Now, I have to go through and independently learn more about that, but damn. Including that song in an animated child's movie? I have no words for that. I really have no words for that. I have no words for that. Continuing on, during a 2001 appearance on Saturday Night Live, Kid Rock made similar controversial comments about then 14-year-old twins Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, saying they were old enough to pursue. God. And MAGA is angry at Bad Bunny. It's blasphemous. It's a joke to even entertain this. Anyway, let's move on. This is another thing here. So Jesse Waters, of course, propagandist over on Fox News, goes on this tirade talking about how he says Latin America's invading this country, and that's what you see. You see all these foreigners speaking a foreign language with foreign flags marching into the camera like a caravan. This was an open borders moment. Okay, pause. The use of the word foreign here is really peculiar. Let's break that down, all right? Foreign means not domestic. Foreign means, domestic is here, foreign is outside. When you say foreign, if you're in the United States, when you say foreign, you mean things that are not the United States. So when he uses foreign here, most of it, I think it can add up. Though I don't think that he understands that Puerto Rico is an outside territory belonging to the United States. They are not a foreign nation or a foreign country, a foreign territory. They are part of the United States. They're not a full part of the United States. But the fact that Jesse Waters is somehow going through and claiming that you see all these foreigners speaking a foreign language. First of all these foreigners, the top headliner is an American citizen from Puerto Rico. For you to claim that's a foreign, maybe foreign to you and your white ass, maybe to you and your American white conservative culture, but it's not foreign to the United States. We are a melting pot. This is the thing. If you say that anything that is not like you is foreign, then you are just a pure narcissist. So if I were to meet someone who is Asian, a United States citizen, and I say that they're foreign looking, maybe to me, but America includes so many people from so many different cultures. It really shows how white supremacist and narcissistic these people are. They think that anything that is not white conservative American culture is somehow less valuable, less important, can be discarded and thrown away like a piece of garbage. Oh wait, yeah, they called Puerto Rico garbage. That all being said, he goes on to say foreign languages. I'm sorry, but Spanish has been a language on this continent longer than English. For you to then claim that somehow Spanish is a foreign language, again, maybe foreign to you and your white ass, but not foreign as a whole. I really cannot understand. Like, these people are so ignorant and also so narcissistic. And then he says, you see all these foreign flags marching into the camera like a caravan. Now, if you want to use foreign to describe all the different countries' flags, I understand that. But you see where he's painting it as Bad Bunny is somehow a foreign person. He's a United States citizen from Puerto Rico, an outside territory belonging to the United States. And people's comments were just, this was scary. This person commented, the people who need their own halftime show are the same people who need their own water fountain. I shouldn't have to explain this, but that's some separate but equal crap that doesn't hold up, going back, echoing slavery. It's disgusting. I really hope that that was a bot and not an actual person. He calls Puerto Rico foreign. Is he stupid or what? Doesn't he know Puerto Rico is a part of the United States? Puerto Ricans are Americans, you asshole. Racist much? Let's also point out there's a lot of parts of American culture that incorporate Latino, Hispanic, Spanish, all of those contributions into our culture. For heaven's sake. Florida, Spanish name. Mar-a-Lago, Spanish name. Montana, Spanish name. Arizona, Spanish name. New Mexico, Spanish name. Utah, Spanish name. California, Spanish name. Idaho, Spanish name. Nevada, Spanish name. Colorado, Spanish name. Texas, Spanish name. Los Angeles, San Diego, San Francisco, San Antonio, Santa Fe, El Paso, Las Vegas, Sacramento, San Jose, Santa Barbara. All of them are Spanish. For you to then claim that somehow Spanish is a foreign language in this country. I just, like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? Now, I cannot go through and independently verify whether all of these are Spanish names. I'm gonna say probably most of them. You know why? Because a lot of these are either southern or western parts of the United States that had Hispanic influence culture already established. So I find it very probable. Now, if you find one on this list and say, oh, it's not actually Spanish, you get the overall gist of all, like, you could see all of it, most all of it is then Spanish. You see it? Oh, I wasn't done. Santa Monica, Corpus Christi, Rio Grande, Key West, Palm Beach, Boca Raton, Pensacola, Santa Rosa, San Marcos, Las Cruces, Paso Robles, Del Rio, Sierra Nevada, San Juan, Santa Clara. Like, hey, MAGA, if Spanish is foreign, then you might want to start renaming the map. They started with the Gulf of Mexico. They're like, this is now the Gulf of America. Mexico is too Spanish. These people, like, I swear to God. And then there were other comments saying, Jesse, are you aware that Bad Bunny is an American? He was born an American to American parents. Puerto Rico is American. Having said that, I realize that information is beyond your level of comprehension. that reads, Bad Bunny was popular, people loved it, there was no trouble, so I need to create a controversy just to justify my paycheck and racist, moronic tendencies thereof. That's very true. Or I don't know if this is Shane of I don't know if this is Shane, someone I actually know, but he said Latin people were here in America way before your limp-dicked ass arrived. And that's also true. Like, there were Hispanic people, indigenous and Hispanic people, that were on this continent before the Western colonizers arrived. So for you to claim that somehow Spanish is foreign to the country, are you dumb? Are you dumb? Jesse was an idiot. Spanish was the first language in California and Texas far before English was spoken. The only problem is he's American. It also gets into let's talk about heritage just in general, all right? You all know, and we're segueing into another portion here. You all know Piers Morgan and Megyn Kelly, right? Conservative talk show hosts, if you can even call them that. They're really just propagandists, especially Megyn Kelly, okay? She goes on to basically claim that this is somehow a huge slap in the face to America's cultural identity. That's her whole thing. That this halftime show is a referendum on the national identity of white America, meaning that it is threatening the presence and identity of anyone who is a white conservative because someone simply spoke Spanish during a song during the Super Bowl. Oh my God, biggest problem ever in American culture. Biggest problem ever in the world. Biggest crisis that needs to be elevated for an emergency reaction now, right? Here's the thing. So Megyn Kelly goes on to say at the end of her rant here, being like, I just want good old American things. I just want, football, apple pie, meatloaf, fried chicken, Christianity, English. Let me pause here for a second. We all know that America is a melting pot, a whole bunch of different cultures from around the world sharing this land, all having a dream to then live with freedom, dignity, prosperity, building a different life, escaping sometimes violence or cruelty to create a new path. That's the idea of America itself. Problem has been its founding, excluding certain groups. That hypocrisy, obviously, but the idea, the dream of America is supposed to be freedom, equity for all. A lot of things in American culture also derived from places outside of America because this is a country built from immigrants. Whether you were a colonizer, your family were colonizers, or immigrants, or enslaved labor. This country is a melting pot of a whole bunch of different people. One half of my family were American colonizers. Does that make me a bad person? No. It just makes me understand my heritage. We were the people, my dad's side of the family actually came over. This is just a little bit about me. My dad's side of the family came over, fought in the Revolutionary War, and was awarded land out in Ohio. And as part of being like, we now won the war, so here's some land for helping. And that's where my dad's family is then from. My mom's side of the family were immigrants. They immediately immigrated through Ellis Island, moved westward, and settled in Missouri. And then through the grapevine, she moved over with her family to West Virginia, then moved down here to North Carolina, where they both met. That all being said, we are a melting pot. Everyone here has an immigration story. Whether you come from ancestry of colonizers, immigrants, enslaved labor, we are all a melting pot. That all being said, a lot of things that we consider traditional American culture, cuisine, traditions, a lot of it is derived also from other cultures as well. For instance, football initially was derived from rugby, which is from England. Now, the American football has different rules than rugby. That initially came from rugby, and then it evolved in America. Let's also point out apple pie. Apple pie did not originate in America. If you did not know, apple pie originated in England, with the first recorded recipe back in 1381. While considered a symbol of American culture and comfort, the dish was brought to the colonies by European settlers. Apples themselves are not native to North America. Now, continuing on, it had European roots. And it was kind of enhanced here as an American dish, but it's not purely American in that sense. It's hard to claim that anything is purely American, because America is a culmination of a whole bunch of different cultures. So for these white conservative MAGA people to then claim that something isn't American, it's not your version of your American culture. But your American culture is not the only culture that is here or that matters. That's what they can't get through their head. They're so wrapped up in their narcissistic, whitewashed version of history that they can't understand that to these people, the only American culture that exists is white American culture. But that's simply wrong. There are so many different parts of American culture from so many different communities, so many different ethnicities. For you to claim that it's not American is so stupid. Continuing on, let me give you another example. Okay, meatloaf. Meatloaf, yes, it's considered a classic American comfort food, but its origins track back to Europe and Germany with Dutch immigrants bringing versions to the United States. Wait, hold on. Was that the word immigrants? The word immigrants. Oh my God. The word immigrants. Yes, it became a very popularized American dish, particularly during the Great Depression. But a lot of those contributions come from immigrants from around the world. And it also developed a little bit more back in Germany. German and Dutch immigrants bringing it over. What's another one? Oh, fried chicken. This is interesting. For those people who do not know, fried chicken did not originate in America. Now, the popular version that we know is Southern fried chicken, and I'm from the South. Actually, I would love to learn more about this. It incorporated Scottish frying techniques in addition to it brought by enslaved West Africans, and seasoning from West Africa, but then also frying techniques from Scottish culture. And I thought that was really, really interesting. I thought that was really, really cool. And it culminated into a favorite dish of America. Now, you can say that that's very American, but also its roots trace back to other places. So when you're trying to claim that something is not American, what? It's just, we're all mutts. Exactly. So it's funny when Megyn Kelly goes on, and I don't think I need to explain Christianity or English being from England or Christianity being from the Middle East, but she goes on to say, all of these things are so American. Football, apple pie, meatloaf, fried chicken, Christianity, and English. You do realize that a lot of that had influence, materials, trading from other parts of the world. For you to claim that something is purely American is so silly. Anyway, you get my gist. Thank you, C-Bar. I appreciate you for being in here. I really, really do. And all that is to say, because all the things that make America great are all from immigrants. Yes. That's the best way to put it. So, also, continuing on, for those people who think that somehow Puerto Rico is a foreign country, no. Puerto Rico is a part of the United States. It's not an official state. It is an unincorporated territory of the United States. Just for your information. Citizenship. People born in Puerto Rico are U.S. citizens by birth. Just letting you know. It is an unincorporated organized territory, meaning it belongs to the United States, but it's not considered part of the incorporated. What's interesting is that Puerto Rico is a part of the United States, though they don't necessarily get representation within our government. They have a non-voting commissioner that is in Washington, basically an advisory role. They don't really have any formal role where Puerto Ricans are U.S. citizens. They are U.S. citizens, but they don't get say-so in our government. They're a territory of the United States. They're not an incorporated state, though. Residents of Puerto Rico cannot vote in U.S. presidential elections, general presidential elections, and do not have voting representation in Congress, although they elect a non-voting resident commissioner to the U.S. House of Representatives. So, all of that being said, the fact that these conservative people think that somehow Puerto Rico is a foreign country is it's like, are you dumb? Are you dumb? Anyway, I'm going to move on to my last thing, and this is completely outside the entire Rolodex of what we've talked about today. While we're talking about things that are crazy, it would behoove me not to mention President Trump, all right? This is just the finale of today's live show. And I appreciate every single one of you. Let's finish strong. Make sure to send some likes. I love all of you, okay? I opened the news this morning and I saw this, and I'm like, what? Trump wildly claims that China will terminate all ice hockey in Canada. Huh? China getting rid of all ice hockey in Canada? Okay, so I looked at this and I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, I must be missing something here. President Donald Trump tore into Canada on Monday evening with an eyebrow-raising post on Truth Social in which he wildly claimed China will terminate all ice hockey being played in Canada. Trump's old post began with him griping about the construction of the Gordie Howe International Bridge between Windsor, Ontario and Detroit, Michigan, which is expected to open in early 2026. And this is what he said. As everyone knows, the country of Canada has treated the United States very unfairly for decades. Now things are turning around for the United States, and fast. But imagine Canada is building a massive bridge between Ontario and Michigan. They own both the Canada and the United States side, and of course, built it with virtually no U.S. content. President Barack Hussein Obama stupidly gave them a waiver so they could get around the Buy American Act and not use any American products, including our steel. Now the Canada government expects me, as President of the United States, to permit them to just take advantage of America. What does the United States get? Absolutely nothing. And I'm like, okay, all right. He goes on to say, Ontario won't even put U.S. spirits, beverages, and other alcoholic products on their shelves. They are absolutely being prohibited from doing so. I cannot English, hold on. Ontario won't even put U.S. spirits, beverages, and other alcoholic products on their shelves. They are absolutely prohibited from doing so. And now, on top of everything else, Prime Minister Carney wants to make a deal with China, which will eat Canada alive. How about you let Canada worry about Canada? How about you let Mark Carney, the new Prime Minister of Canada, worry about his country? Don't be meddling your little orange fingers in their business. Also, you're complaining, this is just a side point before I get into the main thing. You're complaining about the fact that Canada is not putting U.S. products on their shelves. Maybe they're protesting you. Why? Because you joke about them being a part of our country, of the United States, and you put a tariff on them. So you're complaining about the problem that you caused, buddy. You are somehow whining, bitching, moaning, and complaining about the chaos that you ensued. For you to then say it's somehow their fault that they are protesting your idiosyncratic rule as a wannabe dictator, and you're like, what about America? Like, dude, you are a moron. And then, so he goes on to then say, Prime Minister Carney wants to make a deal with China, which will eat Canada alive. Again, let Canada worry about Canada.
We'll just get the leftovers. I don't think so. The first thing China will do is terminate all ice hockey being played in Canada and permanently eliminate the Stanley Cup.
What does that have to do with any of this? What does any of that have to do with trading, whatever? You're like,
China will take over, they'll get rid of the ice hockey.
This man has dementia.
The tariffs Canada charges us for our dairy products have for many years been unacceptable, putting our farmers at great financial risk.
And then he goes on to say,
I will not allow this bridge to continue or to open until the United States is fully compensated for everything we have given them.
oh my God, what the biggest whiner ever. Okay. So speaking of things that don't make sense, conservative MAGA ideology, it just doesn't. It just doesn't.
He's like, China will get rid of all ice hockey in Canada.
God, what a moron. Anyway, I have to get going here. I appreciate every single one of you. I really, really do. I have a lot more new content posted. I have a lot of stuff from my past live stream yesterday posted to my videos and shorts, and I have a longer video. So please make sure to go and check that out. I appreciate every single one of you, even if you don't like me, because truth is, I just want us to then all, just love each other, spread love, peace, understanding, positivity. I just want us to share. Like, America is a group of a whole bunch of different people from so many different places, from so many different backgrounds. For you to then claim that something that isn't a part of your personal culture is somehow threatening the American culture in general is blasphemous. Okay? I'm saying this as a white guy. Someone else speaking Spanish in this country does not threaten my identity as a white guy. I shouldn't have to say it like that. Just because someone else speaks Spanish doesn't mean that my English is any less important or any less valued. But to these MAGA conservatives, they view it as a zero-sum game. That as soon as someone else is slightly different, they view it as a threat. Why can't we view it as an asset? Why can't we view differences as a part of our strength? And then share what makes us unique and different, but also find commonalities about what bonds us together. And America needs to stop being so egocentric, 100%. 100%. Because for people in this country to somehow think that just because someone's culture is different from you means that it's inferior or somehow dangerous to your threat as an American identity, you make your cultural identity. You make whatever you want to make of your identity in this country. That's the freedom that America provides. So for you to then claim that somehow someone else exercising their freedom to exercise their and share their culture is somehow inferior to you sharing yours, like, you're just being a narcissistic prick. Anyway, I appreciate every single one of you. I need to skedaddle because I need to get to work. Thank you all for being here. Shout out to my amazing moderators for being in here today, keeping it all civil. So I'm gonna have to get to work here soon, but if you go check out my latest videos, I posted several different new videos on my page, as well as shorts and a synopsis of yesterday's live stream. Even if you hate me, I love you because I don't believe in spreading anger or hate or negativity, okay? I hope that my live streams help put some actual words to some of how you're feeling or thoughts about all of this. We can disagree based on just our interpretation or opinion about what needs to happen, but what's not up for debate are the raw facts and information itself. The fact that there are conservatives going around claiming that people speaking Spanish is a threat to American identity is blasphemous because Spanish was already here before the colonizers from Britain came over and introduced English. So just because something is not a part of your culture doesn't mean it's not a part of American culture. And if you don't like the fact that American culture includes other people, then sorry, you're just a racist piece of just saying. Anyway, I love all of you. I appreciate every single one of you. I'm gonna skedaddle. Shout out to my amazing moderators that were in here. Akicha, you're amazing. Kate, Ilisa, C-Bar, I love you. Who else was in here today? Who else is in here today? I think that's pretty much it. So anyway, go check out my latest content. I appreciate every single one of you. Just remember that you are beautiful, you are loved, you are valid, you are strong, and you are fierce. Don't let anyone or anything ever dim your shine. I love all of you so much. Bye!